Hello, welcome back to my channel. We are on the third chapter of the psychic intelligence. Tune in and discover the power of your intuition. And the authors are Terry and Linda Jamison. They are psychic twins. And yes, they are identical. Also, I want to apologize for the lighting. The screen isn't exactly important. You could just listen if you like. That's kind of the purpose. But if you want to see my face, stuff like that, you can definitely stare at the screen because that's why my face is there, so you can see who's reading. Also, I know it looks like I have a black eye. It's just really bad lighting. See? And yeah, so we are on the third chapter, and it's called We Are All Psychic. So I'm going to start reading, and sometimes I will put my own 2 cents in, my own opinion in there, because I don't want anyone thinking that they have to conform to this book, that this book is the all and be all, that they are always right, because that's not always the case. This is just a learning experience for you to learn other paths and learn about some great topics that might make you or help you understand maybe what path to go, or maybe understand some things that you are dealing with that you can put 2 and 2 together. So I hope this book is really helpful to you. I hope that chapter 3 that we're reading right now is super helpful. If you are seeing this video, and I forgot to say this in chapter 1 and 2, but if you're seeing this video and you haven't seen chapters 1 and 2, please go check that out, because I don't know if the other chapters are going to not make sense if you're not reading the other chapters, because it would be such a bummer to miss out on all of that information that could possibly be a big help to you. So I'm going to start reading chapter 3. We are all psychic. Psychic, intuitive, paranormal, all these words describe aspects of what we generally think of as the supernatural, as something above or beyond what is explainable by natural laws or phenomenon, exceeding normal or expected compatibility. Most people associate it with something miraculous or transcendent, a mythical, godlike, or ghostly being, or a fictional superhero who has superpowers beyond the capability of us mere mortals. In truth, however, we all have the inner superhero waiting to be discovered. We all have the ability to tap into the source of higher intelligence that lies within each of us. In order to become happier and healthier and more fulfilled in every aspect of our life, the job of each and every one of us, our life's work, if you will, is to find the place within that leads us to create the life we were meant to live. Has anyone ever asked you, how did you know that? Or said, whoa, you must be psychic. Or maybe you have wondered yourself how you just knew something, or had a gut feeling about a person or an upcoming event. Everyone does from time to time, but most people just shake their heads and write it off as a coincidence, or come up with some logical explanation for that which in fact defies logic. No one ever seems to question having a sense of humor or a sense of direction, a business sense or a fashion sense, but just mention having a sixth sense and people will look at you funny. In truth, however, your sixth sense is nothing more than your intuition, which is operating, mostly without you being aware of it. all the time. Some people are naturally gifted athletes or musicians or visual artists, just as some people are more naturally gifted psychics. But we all have intuitive abilities that can be honed and developed like any other talent or gift. Think of it this way. We don't all have perfect pitch or the talent to become a world-renowned concert pianist, but if we practice, we can all learn to play basic melodies on the piano. And the same is true for developing whatever psychic skills we've been given. Children are naturally psychic. One key to developing any kind of gift or talent is simply believing that you can do it. Children are born with this kind of belief in their own omnipotence. I don't even know what that word is. I apologize. Kids have no inner filter telling them what it is or isn't possible. They believe that whatever they imagine can become reality. As children, we all sense that we have the power to make anything happen. It isn't until the adults in our worlds convince us our powers aren't real that we begin to doubt ourselves. Kids believe in angels, Santa Claus, the Tooth Fairy, and the Easter Bunny. Many children have invisible friends with whom they communicate as freely as we talk to our flesh and blood friends. We have a client named Jerry who, when she was 6 or 7, had an imaginary friend she called Linka. Jerry was quite sickly as a child, and Linka would come to her as comforting and calming presence when she would lay in bed. She would often hear Linka calling her name, and her sister said that Jerry would literally turn and talk to her friend. Our point is that these are not imaginary friends. These are real spirits communicating from another dimension, and Jerry was obviously clairvoyant and clairaudient. Some children, of course, are more intuitive than others. They are born with psychic gifts, just as some are born with beautiful singing voices or great hand-eye coordination. The highly intuitive children can experience dreams that come true or sense when someone is going to die or have an accident. They can look into someone's eyes and know who he or she has been in a past life or whether that person is lying to them. Some young people have written to us about seeing shadowy figures at night or seeing glowing balls of light that appear for a few seconds then disappear. Some tell us that they see the spirits of people who have passed away. And often they report feeling as if they don't belong or fit in with their peers. They may also be afraid that if they confide in their parents, they will be ridiculed or dismissed as weird as we were. If your child came to you and said, "I see dead people," what would you do? Most parents don't know how to react to this information. They often keep quiet, hope it just a phase, and the child will outgrow it. We advise you to do just the opposite. Don't be afraid. Be very open to what your child or children are seeing or hearing. Rather than dismissing it or writing it off as just their imagination, engage with them in a dialogue. Tell them that the spirit world is real and assure them that they need not to be afraid. Never ever make them feel ashamed of sharing the unique insights with you. Psychic children are very smart and can be extremely manipulative. What they need is structure and clear guidelines for behavior. This means combining caring with setting limits and following through with consequences if the rules are violated. Consistency is a key here. Some psychic children feel isolated because they are different from others and can't freely share their experiences. They are often afraid no one will understand their unusual perceptions or feelings. As parents, therefore, it's important that you show your understanding without being too hovering or overprotective. Providing them with opportunities to express themselves creatively, such as through writing, dance, painting, acting, or music, in the company of other artistic or sensitive kids will help them develop overall confidence. Back in the 90s, Terry had a boyfriend who was a father of 2 young boys, ages 5 and 7. We'll call them Derek and Max. Their father was very much in denial of the fact that the younger boy, Derek, had been diagnosed as autistic and that Max was very sensitive and hyperactive. It was as if acknowledging their problems would somehow reflect badly on him. Terry stepped into the role of a co-parent and almost immediately realized both children, especially Derek, were highly creative and gifted. Derek, the autistic child, would spin in circles for hours and have screaming tantrums daily, even in school. But he loved to read comic books and draw. He made very intricate drawings, and Terry encouraged him and plastered both boys' drawings all over the walls of the apartment. For the first time, these boys felt truly appreciated and started coming to life. Terry chanted with them every day. Most children loved chanting and paid more attention to them than their busy working parents ever had. Derek could put his hand on Terry's forehead and read her mind. If she was visualizing a flower, he would say flower. And he was so clairvoyant, even Terry was amazed. Month after exhausting month, she never stopped caring for and loving these 2 gifted children. Derek told her, "I realize you give me nothing but kindness." What planet was this psychic child from? In time, Derek calmed down and became the smartest child in his class. By 2nd grade, he was reading a 5th grade level, and it was almost as though he had the mind of a savant, which fortunately Terry had recognized and nurtured. Max also began to thrive once she was able to acknowledge and validate his emotions. Indigo and Crystal Kids. James Twyman, author of Messages from Thomas, Raising Psychic Children, believes that we are seeing a new generation of these children among us. For at least 20 years, he writes, educators and scientists have realized that today's children are being born with new depths of higher perceptions. They come into the world with shades up and the windows polished clean. They look at adults in the world and say, "Why can't you see what we see? It is so clear to us." We don't know exactly why this is true, but it may simply be that their gifts are receiving more recognition than they would have in a generation or 2 earlier. Maybe there aren't really more of them. Maybe they're just emerging from the shadows and are not afraid to give a voice to what they know. One consequence of this is that all highly intuitive or psychic children are now being categorized as either indigo or crystal, based in part on the color of their auras and the energy field that surrounds all things. We'll be talking more about auras in Chapter 5. Our clients told us this story about her intuitive twin boys. "Poppy, why are you flying?" my 3-year-old son asked my grandfather, pointing upward. His question might seem unremarkable if Poppy were a pilot or alive. My grandmother had died the week before, and now my mother and my husband, and I stared speechless at the empty spot to which Jeffrey pointed. This is just one instance of many where Jeffrey and his identical twin Connor would point and declare "Angel" or "Poppy" or a ball of light. On another occasion, my husband suggested taking the boys to see manatees. The flock of the warm water surrounded a power plant. We'd never been there before, and all he said to me was, "Should we take them to see the manatees?" Connor immediately perked up and said, "Go Castle." Because my previous experience with the boys' psychic awareness, I wondered whether Castle was a precognitive vision of the power plant. 30 minutes later, we reached our destination, and Connor jumped from his car seat and pointed up into the plant's towering chimneys and cried, "Castle, go Castle." Almost daily, we see further evidence of the boys' gifts. They seem conscious of auras, chakras, and past lives. They regularly communicate telepathically, not only with each other, but also with me. They're also getting so good at reading our minds that my husband and I have trouble surprising them with birthdays or Christmas presents. To me, it's all confirmation of the soul's immorality and constant expansion of a child's intimate ability to sense it. Part of Indigo's purpose is to teach us how to live with more integrity. While both crystals and indigos are highly empathic and intuitive, indigos tend to be more sensitive and can become depressed or upset if they are in a company of stressed or difficult people. They are a system of busters by nature, rebellious, and here to change the status quo. But they are generally willing to negotiate if you offer them choices. Crystal children, on the other hand, tend to be more loving and peaceful. Their mission is to restore peace and harmony onto the world. Some parents of crystals tell us they are all like baby gurus who have wisdom beyond their years. Is your child indigo or crystal? Which of the following best describes your child? Circle all that apply. A. Extremely temperamental. Another A. Rebellious. Another A. Technologically oriented. Another A. Easily bored or irritated. Another A. Sometimes antisocial. Another A. Trailblazer. Another A. Verbal about expressing his or her needs. The next section. A B. Happy and even tempered. Another B, empathetic with others. Another B, artistically gifted. Another B, patient and loving. Another B, nurturing to other children. Another B, peaceful. Another B, late to begin speaking. If your answers were mainly A, you probably have an indigo child. If your answers were mainly B, you probably have a crystal child. Both indigo and crystal children need to be nurtured and supported by their parents. And by the way, to do that may differ from one to another. Because indigos are determined and strong-willed, parents need to respect them as they would adults without expecting them to take on adult responsibilities. This might mean allowing them a certain degree of autonomy, I don't know what that says, I'm sorry, and a decision making such as giving them two choices. Do you want to wear the yellow dress or the blue dress today? Or would you like to go to the park or the beach this weekend? Or do you prefer pizza or macaroni for lunch? This can allow them more freedom of choice and sense that their feelings and options matter without burdening them with too many options at once. In addition, you must always be open and honest with them, because like human lie detectors, they can sense when someone is not telling the truth. Because crystal children are so open and empathetic, they may feel that it is their duty to heal in other people's pain. They can easily become sad or anxious when they are in the company of a sad or anxious person who deliberately or unknowingly use them as a dumping ground for their negative feelings. It is therefore extremely important that their parents help them to understand that they cannot make everything right for everyone and that they need to protect themselves from being emotionally drained. For more on psychic protection, see Chapter 5. Try to create a safe and secure haven for them at home, a place of understanding where they can replenish themselves and regain their emotional balance. Otherwise, for both indigo and crystal children, follow advice we gave on page 23 for parenting all psychic children. When they reach teen years, in our experience, psychic teenagers have many complex issues relating to their psychic intelligence. Some teens who write to us are very depressed because they have been so open about their gifts with the wrong people, and have been judged, teased, criticized for sharing their psychic observations. We tell teens to be cautious about sharing psychic insights because not everyone is going to be understanding or supportive. I figured this out in my life, that you need to be very careful about who you share your gifts with because they can judge you. If you tell a therapist or the wrong person, they'll try to diagnose you with things that you do not have because they are an atheist or a non-believer, or in the Harry Potter world, we call them muggles. Also, developing teen psychics, because they don't yet understand that they are not infallible, will invariably make the mistake of assuming that what they foresee is written in stone. Then when they predict something that doesn't happen, their peers can be very critical and sometimes cruel. As a result, teen psychics can become very self-critical, thinking, "It didn't happen as I saw it in my dream," or "so I must not be a good psychic." You need to help them understand that no psychic is perfect. It makes many years to develop expertise. In addition, many teens are interested in ghosts and mediumship because they see psychic phenomenon on television shows, but the reality can be scary for them. They may see things that are frightening or have upsetting dreams, not know how to handle them. Reassure your teen that having psychic gifts is normal for some people and not something to hide or be afraid of. Explain that the different people have different talents, and some may be gifted musicians or artists, and being psychic is just another kind of gift or talent. Try to stay open-minded and have a dialogue with your teen. Assure them that they can always be open and honest with you, but at the same time, explain that their friends may not all be open to this kind of psychic gift, and that for their own protection, they need to be a bit more careful on how and when they share what they are experiencing. You may want to take your teen to a psychic development class in town, as long as the teacher is reputable. Also, this book is a good place to start. If your psychic teen is serious about developing their abilities, the point is to be encouraging and supportive as well as protective so they don't shut down. So many people do when they reach adulthood. Now, what I will recommend, even for adults, and this is my advice, this is something that I've experienced in my journey with my gifts, is that I'm a psychic medium as well. So I can see spirits from time to time, or I can sense them with one of my clairs because I have some things that connect to all the clairs, not just one. Some people have one, but I connect with all the clairs. So I'll get pictures in my head. I will get sounds, stuff like that. I will get feelings. I will get chills. I'll feel extra warmth or extra cold. I could even get really afraid quickly because there's a change in energy, and it's something that I'm still getting used to, and I'm 25, and I've been having this happen to me since I was really, really young, since I could remember. And I didn't start figuring myself out and realizing I wasn't crazy, that this stuff was really happening. And the thing that helped me the most was this show. Even though I was an adult, it still helped me. It was called Psychic Kids, and Chip Coffey is a famous psychic, and Chip Coffey was the host of Psychic Kids, and he said that most people, even children, are afraid of things that they do not understand. So he taught them how not to, their first instinct, to not be afraid and to set intentions. He taught them how to protect themselves. He even taught them how to grow in their gift, to take more control over it so it wasn't controlling them. He also showed them avenues of a way that they can use their gift in their life. Like he guided this one girl into being like a psychic detective, where she found a little girl that was kidnapped. They even helped psychic detectives help people find bodies and stuff like that, help find people who are missing, which is great, or solve cold cases, stuff like that. So Chip Coffey was able to give certain jobs, and there's even like animal healers or people who do wellness, who can figure out if there's something wrong with someone, stuff like that. And that show really helped me, because I started to realize that my first instinct when I would experience the things that I was experiencing, I would immediately get scared. And I would start to panic, because these energies were new and I didn't even know they were energies. And when I was little, I had an experience where I was being surrounded by multiple spirits. And I was in a very bad situation with my mother. And I was being locked in a room. They turned off the lights and took everything away from me. And I was crying. And I remember being surrounded. And I know what I was feeling then. I was extremely terrified. Like, I felt like I was going to die. But now, like, I can't tell the difference back then is if they were really, like, if they were trying to comfort me, if they were trying to help me. I don't know if my fear was warranted or not. If they were trying to help me or hurt me, I have no idea about that. But now I try to focus on, not being afraid first, because it's almost like the spirit realm is like our realm, kind of, and just imagine if it was reversed and the spirits, or we were in the spirit realm and they were here. We would want to speak to them the way that, we speak to each other, or vice versa. So, like, if they move things, turn the lights off and on, they make a room go cold, or they, like, throw something across the room, like, people's immediate thought is, oh my gosh, it's a demon. And that's not true. They're just trying so hard to get your attention. Just imagine and being in the spirit realm and not being able to have control over the energies, because having control over the energies can be really hard, especially in the spirit realm. They need things to supercharge them, like crystals or batteries. Some spirits will even drain camera batteries. My ear is ringing, which is a psychic thing. All this stuff is part of the supernatural, part of the paranormal. So I just wanted to put that out there for people who may feel alone in this and have no avenues of education. Psychic Kids, the show that's run by Chip Coffey, which I don't know if he's still on the show anymore, but still, the show is very helpful. I would recommend that you guys watch it if you are struggling, or even just to get more education. It doesn't hurt to learn more. So I will get back to the chapter 3 and then the next video for chapter 4. So let me get started. Let's see. What happens when we grow up? Children have many natural intuitive gifts in their curiosity, openness, and sense of wonder. As adults, however, we tend to begin questioning and second-guessing ourselves. We become more self-conscious and afraid of what others might think, and we may therefore lose the courage of our convictions. We need to recapture those qualities we had as a child so that we can truly open our lives to the infinite possibilities available to us. By letting go of the self-limiting beliefs that separate us from our higher dimension of self, we can capture our power to create a better, more authentic, fulfilling life. So chapter 4 is getting in your way. But I kind of want to talk about something real quick. I know this chapter video is really long. Let's see. Sorry. So I kind of want to talk about very briefly about, children kind of closing their abilities off when they grow up into being a teenager to an adult. Adults, regardless of your belief, adults do this all the time. They think that to mature and to be mature, they need to give up their childlikeness. They need to get rid of or stamp down their inner child. When really that's not true at all. You can still be artistic. You can still create and have an imagination. You can still be bright and bubbly and smile and have a good time. My version of professional is different than society's version of professional. Because someone's race, color, sex, gender, all of that has nothing to do with how someone can do a job. Point blank. It's their personality and their skills, their education, what they know. That's it. So, I think, and I know I struggle with this big time. I lost myself. I locked my inner self, my inner child up. And I'm getting a little teary-eyed because I miss that part of myself. I have a picture. I know I'm a mess, but that picture was taken when I was 14. And even at that time, I was being stamped out. My imagination and my life and zealous and bliss for life. And I was a very broken, traumatized girl. But at the same time, I was very bright and loving and happy and smiling and skipping. I literally skipped everywhere I went. I just had this clear mind, like all the time. And when I turned into an adult and I went through more trauma and broken hearts, and I had to deal with some things that I had to disregard at the time when I was little, like my parents, my birth parents. And now I realize that my parents they're not exactly what was depicted by Child and Family Services, but they're still toxic. And they're unwilling to heal with me. So I have closed myself off. My inner child doesn't get attention anymore like she should. I let go of art and reading, the things that gave me life. I just shut off. And I don't recommend that. If you have control over that, don't shut him or her out. She needs attention as much as your adult self does. And suppression causes depression. That is one of my famous lines that I came up with myself. And my therapist now uses it with her other clients, which is perfect. Like, I'm glad it's helping other people. But I look at my photo and it reminds me of the little girl I stuffed in a box. My inner self, my inner child, I just locked away because I was known as a burden. I was annoying. I was labeled as disabled, that there was something wrong with me, and that I was too much, and that I wasn't allowed to be that way. And I had too many ideas, and my ideas were shit, and my ideas would never come to pass. And I was beaten down so much. I locked her away. Now, if you are listening to my story and you realize that maybe you've done the same thing and you didn't know it, you could reverse it. You can let her out. And it's going to be a healing process, because I'm going through some times where I'm healing this, and I'm slowly working on letting her out and getting to know myself and reading again and painting and doing art and just stimulating my inner child, because I haven't done it in years. I've let other people depict my life. I've let other people take control. And I'm learning to set boundaries. And I'm letting people go, and I'm not fighting with people. So if you are going through the same thing as me, it's okay. It really is. And I understand you. I feel your pain. I feel my pain mostly right now. But it's not going to be easy. But it has to be done, because the more you suppress your inner child, the more problems will arise. There is a saying that I also live by. I'd rather live, not survive. I'd rather live than just feel like I'm just surviving through life, that I'm in an apocalypse. I'd rather feel like I'm in control and I'm doing the things that I love, and that other people are not in control over me and my life and my heart and my inner child. That I can have inspiration, I can grow, I can do what I want. Obviously within the law. But if you want me to make a separate video on that, so this chapter video isn't long, because that wasn't my intention. But I was called to just bring up my story and my inner child. But if you want me to make more videos on the inner child and healing the inner child, especially an inner child who has gone through a lot of pain and a lot of trauma, and I'm not saying that someone's inner child has to have went through trauma or pain, because some just lock their inner child up because they think they're supposed to, to mature and grow. And that's not true. I mean, there's a time and place, but that's not true. And stimulating your inner child is self-care, and it's showing yourself love. So if you want me to make another video on inner child and how to heal that, regardless, I can do that. Just put it down in the comments below, and I'm willing to help you out. Now, the next video is, oh no, I was saying that correctly. So the next video chapter on the psychic intelligence will be next. And if you are on, the video journey of listening to this book, and you go to find a chapter and it's not there on my channel, just know that it is waiting to be uploaded. So it's kind of like Netflix, I guess. That's the only way I can describe it, where, it's going to be showing up, that episode on Netflix. And just because it's not there doesn't mean it's not going to be there. So I just thought to say that I'm not going to abandon this book. Like, I'm going to full on do all the episodes of each chapter for you guys. And I will put my 2 cents in, my own opinion, to help people grow and experience. Because it's important for people to have their own opinion and their own growth journey, because people are on a different path than me. Also, if you want to know the ring that I'm wearing, it's cornelian. I also have an article on that, which I can definitely read on here too. This stone is currently what I need. It helps with strength and stuff like that. So, and it was worn by warriors to help them be strong. So I will get to chapter 4, and I hope that you guys have a great day and be safe. And yes, if you haven't seen chapter 1 and 2, I would recommend going to watch 1 and 2 as well, and then go watch chapter 4 if it's made and posted. All right, I will see you later, and be safe out there.